An arrest in the death of 30-year-old Joshua Donald. Now, the tables have turned for Donald's girlfriend.
She gave them information that led them to believe that this was a self-defense case, that there was use in the past, and that she had to do what she had to do in order to protect herself.
44-year-old Shanette Robinson is now charged.
It's your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 times, and I'm back with another video. In this episode of Hood Tales, let's take it to Pensacola, Florida, to discuss the 2021 case of a woman who lured her boyfriend to get revenge after she found out he was involved with her 19-year-old daughter. But before we get into this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss any future uploads. Stay tuned until the end to hear the whole story. Everything in this video is alleged. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Joshua Donald Jr. was born January 31st, 1991 in Pensacola, Florida. Affectionately known as Josh, he was described by those who loved him as funny, warm-spirited, and genuinely caring. The type of person who could walk into a room and instantly lighten the heaviness others carried. He brought joy to those around him, not because life was perfect, but because he was determined to find laughter in between the struggles. Family was his grounding force. Friends were his extension of it. To them, Josh was a son, a brother, a father figure, and a loyal companion. And it would be one relationship, a relationship that lasted 7 unpredictable years, that would lead to the most tragic chapter of his story. Josh entered an on-again, off-again relationship with Shanette Robinson, a woman several years older than him, and over time, those close to the couple witnessed cycles of intense affection followed by conflict, breakups followed by reunions, and emotions that escalated quicker than either of them could imagine. Police records would later reveal that back in 2018, the two were involved in a dispute serious enough that officers responded. Reports say Shanette was identified as the primary aggressor and was taken into custody. Yet, despite their history and the turbulence within it, they remained in contact, continued their relationship, and re-entered each other's lives again and again. Sometimes the people we love the deepest are the people we struggle hardest to let go. On February 26, 2021, Pensacola officers responded to Shanette's residence on West Highland Avenue. When they arrived, 30-year-old Joshua Donald was found inside the home after sustaining multiple injuries caused by a firearm. Standing outside was 40-year-old Shanette, frantic, repeatedly saying she didn't mean for this to happen, and claiming that Josh arrived unexpectedly and attacked her. From that moment forward, Shanette insisted she only acted to protect herself, but what was first believed wouldn't be believed for long. For Josh's family, the world fell silent. Waiting for answers became its own torment. The shock was immediate, but the confusion, the unanswered questions, and the attempt to understand the final moments of someone they cherished stretch on like an unfinished sentence. Holidays, birthdays, and ordinary days changed. Their memories remained full, but the present was painfully empty. The case, however, would not be resolved quickly. Meanwhile, life continued for Shanette, though not without conflict. In April of 2024, Easter Sunday, she was taken into custody after authorities say she physically confronted a deputy during efforts to break up an altercation at Inglewood Park. She was later booked on charges related to resisting and battery on an officer. It was another chapter of impulsive behavior, another moment where emotions met consequences, and another reminder of how fast things can escalate when control spills. Still, Josh's case remained unanswered. 4 years passed. The turning point came when the case landed on the desk of a new detective who looked at the evidence with fresh eyes and one persistent feeling. Something didn't add up. Detectives noted inconsistencies in Shanette's original explanation. Detectives concluded that evidence suggested Josh had been lured to Shanette's home under the impression he was picking up a stimulus check. Once inside the room, according to investigators, the confrontation that unfolded was not sudden, but planned. Forensic testing revealed troubling details in the hallway where Shanette claimed a struggle occurred. A mop bucket overturned, yet water streaked only in one direction, toward the bedroom where Josh was found, suggesting something had been cleaned. Officers found a red stain underneath the mop handle, as if the mop had been set directly over it. The new detective on the case pressed further. She re-interviewed Shanette, then looked into digital messages and phone calls made before and immediately after the incident. During the investigation, detectives spoke with Josh's uncle, known as Chunky, who revealed that days before the incident, Shanette had expressed anger and frustration, believing Josh had been intimately involved with her 19-year-old daughter. She reportedly told Chunky she had considered harming Josh because of that. Chunky stated Shanette called him as soon as she shot and ended Josh and yelled, "Chunky, I did it. I ended him." Another set of retrieved digital messages told a similar and unsettling story. Messages where Shanette expressed the idea of taking action against Josh and referenced falling out over something she said she couldn't forgive. Investigators retrieved Shanette's Snapchat message records to another friend, in which she appears to discuss taking Josh's life. 10 days before the shooting, Shanette messaged her friend saying, "I'ma just end him and bury the bastard in his grandma's backyard at 3 a.m. In the message string, Shanette appears to tell her friend that Josh did some foul stuff I can't forgive, and that he better be glad he not in jail. These were statements that would echo heavily through the investigation. As the detective continued to question Shanette, she retracted the self-defense claim in Joshua Donald's slaying. In a follow-up interview with Shanette, investigators told her there appeared to be inconsistencies in her original statement and that the hallway scene seemed to be staged before PPD arrived the day Josh lost his life. Shanette then retracted her initial statement that Josh broke into the house, leading to a fight, saying instead they were just having a conversation. The detective asked Shanette if they were just having a conversation, then why did she take his life? Shanette stated when she saw him, she began having flashbacks of their past fights. She then told investigators that previous law enforcement reports listing her as the recipient of Josh's aggression were false police reports because she was typically the primary aggressor and Josh would lie on her behalf to take the ride to jail so she wouldn't get arrested. In the report, Shanette also explained the last time she found out Josh had relations with one of her daughters, she stabbed him in the house. However, she and Josh both lied to the police and said she was robbed so she wouldn't go to jail. After further testing, interviews, and the accumulation of evidence, probable cause was established, and in May of 2025, over 4 long years later, Shanette was taken into custody and charged. 1 month later, on June 25, 2025, a grand jury returned an indictment for first-degree premeditated actions leading to Josh's passing. She remains in custody without bond, awaiting further court proceedings. Shanette Robinson is innocent until proven guilty. Condolences to Josh's family. May his soul rest in peace. There's so much to unpack in this case. The relationship between these two people was beyond toxic. This story is layered, not simply a breakup or a conflict, but a collision of emotions fueled by suspicion, betrayal, and unresolved history. For years, Josh and Shanette circled back to one another, connected by affection, familiarity, and habit, but also by tension that simmered beneath the surface. When Shanette learned or believed that Josh had been involved with her 19-year-old daughter, those emotions shifted. What may have begun as hurt turned into rage, and what may have started as disappointment grew into retaliation. Angry thoughts left unchallenged can turn into justifications, and justifications can turn into decisions that can't be undone. Suspicion became the story she replayed. Anger became the voice she listened to, and revenge may have become the choice she acted upon. But whether those allegations were truth, rumor, or misunderstanding, her actions came with consequences she could never take back. And maybe she is aware of the consequences, but hoped she would get off on her claims of self-defense. This is why you must be so careful who you bring into not only your life, but your children's lives. Josh's family lost someone they cherished. Shanette lost her freedom and her future, and her children are now left with the emotional fallout that came from this highly traumatic situation. Two families now carry wounds created in minutes but felt for generations. When rage speaks louder than reason, nobody wins. Emotions like anger, humiliation, and betrayal are among the strongest we experience, especially when children, trust, or respect feel violated. The instinct to retaliate, to make someone feel what you felt, is powerful, but rage is temporary and revenge is permanent. If Shanette felt disrespected, deceived, or violated by Josh's alleged involvement with her daughter, the emotion she felt, anger, heartbreak, embarrassment, would have been real. But the response that follows those emotions determines the outcome that everyone must live with. When hurt becomes vengeance, when vengeance becomes a plan, when suspicion becomes a sentence, lives unravel far beyond the argument itself. If you find yourself in a moment where your thoughts are dark, vindictive, or fueled by rage, pause. Walking away may save everyone, because when feelings evolve into retaliation, the result isn't closure, it's collateral damage. Let Josh's story and Shanette's stand as a caution. Your reaction can outlive the moment. Your choices can redefine your future, and revenge may feel justified, but the aftermath rarely is. Fam, I'm going to leave the rest up to you. What are your thoughts on this story? Let me know in the comments below. Alright fam, that's it for this episode of Hood Tales. Thank you so much for watching. If this story moved you, consider liking and sharing. Subscribe for more stories like this and for the stories behind the headlines, because behind them all are lives forever changed. This is your girl, Mrs. Tony 2 Times. Until next time.